Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Whole Reffin' Show. Jamie Tucker here with my buddy Mike Orange. Hope everyone's doing well.
Hey, everybody.
Well, we preempted the podcast for last week and we didn't get around to getting one in, but hey, we're back and we're ready to talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Uh, what do you want to start with today, buddy?
So Mike, I'm sure you've seen it this week. It's been some news out there with Hulk Hogan of all people, right? So I saw that he did a video one day about him and Bischoff. They had a third man. It kind of reminds you of the NWO days, and we found out who that was, and it's going to be a new wrestling promotion apparently, and it's freestyle wrestling. Do you have any more information on it than that? I can't remember the full name of the promotion right off the top of my head, but this is kind of like one of the big topics that's happening this week with this guy.
Yeah, I think it's Real American Freestyle Wrestling. Like you said, they did a couple videos. The first one they dropped, and it was NWA vibe for sure. I don't. At first, nobody knew what it was going to be. Uh, It sounded like it might have been a podcast. It could have been anything. But then the very next day, they dropped another one saying it was going to be a new promotion with like freestyle wrestling.
Yeah, so it's really not your traditional professional wrestling promotion that you normally would think about Hulk Hogan being in or affiliated with.
No, so it's kind of like wrestling, but kind of put like a UFC style spin on amateur wrestling thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this plays out. I know they already got their first event slated for late August, I believe, in Cleveland, Ohio, is what I read. And I'm just interested to see how they're gonna move forward with that. And are they going to try to throw storylines in it, to vamp it up, or what are they going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, uh, remember, this ain't the first time he's tried to do a wrestling promotion. He did like miniature wrestling back in the day.
Yeah, like a part of like the micro wrestling, similar to that. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that it was pretty cool, but that one only lasted what like a season, probably like 15, 16 episodes.
Yeah, it wasn't long. Which I wish it would have done more. Um, I do remember that group when I came up from Florida and came to this area in Roanoke, that they did a show over in Hollins at a bar, and then they actually did that promotion that we were talking about was over there, and it was pretty cool. The guy that ran it, Johnny, I can't think of his last name, but he used to do like enhancement work with WCW back in the day, and he was friends with Knobs and all of them. And I went over there and was talking to him, and I said I'm friend with Knobs and all this and blah blah blah, and I went in, had a good time that night, enjoyed the show, watched it. Um, but I do remember that. Um, Johnny's passed away now, because honestly, if Johnny was still around, his promotion would probably be giving the Micro Wrestling Federation a good run for their money right now, because Johnny had a good promotion as well.
Yeah, I actually like it. It was different. The micro wrestling. They're really good. I like them.
Oh yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Even the small people, they need a place to wrestle, and unfortunately, like they probably won't ever be like on WWE or AEW and stuff like that. So they need a outlet to do their craft and everything because they are really talented and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, back in the day, you'd see them on shows, but they go into territories and such, but they wouldn't be like their own promotion type thing where they'd be around all the time. So this is pretty cool that the business went this route and gives other people opportunities. Absolutely. It's also good. We talked about, there's a lot of, we'll get back on subject here in a minute, of course, but when we're talking about something getting opportunity, the ladies have got opportunities over the years too. Not only with, AEW, it's got a lot better. The WWE's got their own division. TNA really revolutionized women's wrestling, in my opinion, when they had the knockouts division for the other companies to follow suit. But you also have companies over the years. You got Glow from back in the day. There's a promotion out of Las Vegas that runs as well. It's all girl. Um, and then you also have Sean out of Florida with the WWN, the World Wrestling Network. So it's really good that the ladies have their own promotions as well out there, and not just only with the WWE and AEW and TNA and so forth. So it's really cool stuff. Um, but anyway, we were talking about Hulk Hogan. So back to the promotion, Mike. Now, I just don't know, being that Hulk Hogan came from professional wrestling, right? He's a professional wrestler. How is that him coming over into uh, freestyle wrestling? How's that gonna help? You know what I'm saying? He's a professional wrestler. Hulk Hogan's made all his money off of being a professional wrestler, a sports entertainer. What do you think he'll bring to the table? I know he's going to be like a commissioner type role, but what do you think he'll bring to the table for that type of wrestling?
I honestly have no idea. uh, Because I was like, okay, a wrestling promotion, and then you start listening to a little bit more, and it's like turning into a freestyle, and it just, I don't know. Like you said, he made all this money and everything in uh, professional wrestling, so it, I don't know. Hopefully, more details comes out in the next couple of weeks or months before the end of August, and we can see really what's going to happen. But I was wondering, I asked you before, and we didn't really know, so we looked up into it. Um, Eric Bischoff is not under contract with WWE,
Yes.
but Hulk Hogan is. Apparently, he signed a 5-year deal with his beer company. Uh, Now I can't find details if it was just for the beer company or if it was for him too, like
Yes.
kind of be like a bastard thing. Um, but then the other guy that they got helping them, uh, I can't find his name right now. But he's in the UFC. Well, they're both kind of under the TKO banner. That's like the parent company for WWE and UFC. And if it's that type of wrestling, are we going to see like a Chad Gable or people that has a background in like that type of wrestling? I wonder if they're going to be working with Hogan in this new company.
Yeah. I mean, now that I looked it up again, I wanted to know the gentleman's name that they're affiliating with. It's Izzy Martinez, the Real American Freestyle Wrestling. So, um, I don't know. It's got me puzzled. I'm really interested to see how this works out. Um, and as I read more about it here, what they're saying here, man, is, it's going to be, um, I'm trying to read this right here. Like it's not scripted, right? It's they're saying an unscripted freestyle wrestling league, um, injected with storytelling and colorful characters. They aim to blend the drama of pro wrestling and reality shows with the unscripted competition of freestyle wrestling. So there, right there, it tells you right there they're going to blend in, have storytelling, have the guys be characters, but yet it's going to be competition of freestyle wrestling. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. So it's kind
So
of
so it's almost like WWE and UFC kind of coming together for one company and having Hogan, Bischoff, and what's his name, Izzy?
yeah, Izzy
Uh,
Martinez.
having them as the leaders of it, like in charge of it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if WWE and UFC had a baby, this is what we get.
Wow. I've just got a lot of questions, and a lot of thinking on this because, when I first saw it, I'm like, are they starting a wrestling promotion with somebody, right? But I had no idea that it would come out to be freestyle wrestling. I honestly thought if they did anything, it would still be sports entertainment as pro wrestling, I couldn't imagine, with their expertise in that one profession, not to do it. But then again, they bring this over to a cross with the other. It may make a lot of money because lots of people love pro wrestling. Lots of people love Ultimate Fighting Championship. So they could be onto something here that actually generates a lot of revenue. So who knows? It may work out to benefit them and lots of other people that gets affiliated with it.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like, uh, I just want to see, like, get more details on it because, in a way, it seems like a little weird, like how it's going to be and stuff. But uh, wrestling is like it's the top of the game, and it has been for a while now. So it's room for more people, more wrestling companies will make every company better, in my opinion. Um, hopefully, it'll turn into a good thing, and I wonder if this could be a way for having Hogan almost like the face of it. I want and uh, I wonder how much backlash he's going to get for having Hogan
Right.
in it.
Right, because the unpopularity that WWE television and the light of being on there shows him. Yeah, because he got booed out of the building on the Netflix. I remember that. The first
Yeah,
Raw. Yeah.
yeah. Now he don't even they don't even have him promoting his beer on TV anymore. Like he'll go to like places and promote it like in stores and stuff like that. But they got the American Made with Chad Gable and the Creed brothers promoting the beer than Hogan now.
Right. And then apparently, I guess Martinez and Hogan and Bischoff were on television talking about this. And apparently, what was said by Martinez, and I got it here, I'm reading it online right now. You've seen what these two have done before. We've got the cash, we got the talent, we got real American freestyle wrestling. So they're really pushing the real American name out there. So that I'm sure the beer we brought up as well, and then also the word real before freestyle and wrestling. So they're trying to make it, sound like it's going to be unscripted 100% when it comes to the athletic contest.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like when it says real American, are they are they not going to have like Japanese wrestlers or like luchadors from Mexico and stuff like that? Is it just an American product, or what do you think?
Well, I just think the best freestyle wrestlers throughout the world will be probably on the show. So from other countries and everything. So that's what I'm thinking they're going to do. So you're still,
So it's so pretty much it's just a name. Like if he started off with the real American beer, so it could just be Hogan promoting like real American stuff.
well, Hogan is he's supposed to be the all American guy. That's has been his character since 1984 with WWF when Vince gave him the unbelievable push and Hulkamania rose to the highest level of any professional wrestler ever and the longest reigning of being a pro wrestler on that level. So, yeah, I can see that 100% because I'm reading here that I'm getting all their what their job titles are. So Hulk Hogan, he's going to serve as the commissioner of Real American Freestyle. Um, and then you got Eric Bischoff takes on the role of chief media officer. And I guess let's see what Izzy Martinez is chief operating officer as well. So looks like that yeah, they're the three guys running this thing, man. They're ready to go.
It doesn't say uh if any of them is like the owner of it. Does it? It's just the commissioner, and that's like the chief operator.
Yeah, from what I'm reading on this article here about it, it was the chief operating officer and chief media officer, and then the operating officer would be Izzy. The chief media officer is Eric, and then Hulk is the commissioner. So when you give someone a commissioner role in pro wrestling, the commissioner role more than likely is just an on-air talent. You know what I'm saying? Um, but being that maybe that's all Hogan is going to be, they're using his face, his character, his likeness just to get people interested, Um, so it's interesting to see where they're going to go with this. I'm actually kind of excited to actually watch when this show premieres, um, and what their approach is with freestyle wrestling and not having professional wrestlers involved. Unless they are going to have professional wrestlers involved, which will it would make it to me, at that point, to me, it'd just be straight up sports entertainment.
Yeah, but like I said, if it is a partnership and all underneath the same banner and stuff, like a Chad Gable, even with them working with TNA, get like Dolph Ziggler back. I think they would be good up in the freestyle, even if it's not scripted and stuff. Uh, Almost like helping out like Chris Jericho did for AEW, having a couple big names to kind of put the new promotion on the map.
Right. Yeah. So basically, what this is saying here about the promotion, um, let's see what it says. It's a bold move that merges Olympic style grappling with professional wrestling spectacle. So they're going to have all the glitz and glamour that you see on Raw and WrestleMania, but it's Olympic style grappling. So that's really got me puzzled. I'm really interested to see how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they can have what's his name? Gabe Stevenson that was in WWE that won the gold medal for a couple years ago
Mm-hmm.
in wrestling. Maybe he'd be a part of it, uh, or maybe have a Kurt Angle. I don't think he's up in WWE, and he could maybe be there helping out with it. mean, it's a lot of different possibilities on this, and I'm ready to hear like more details and then see the product up in August.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just see how they're treating the product, because in Olympic style wrestling, if I'm not mistaken, they got a lot of different rules than pro wrestling. There's gonna, if they call all them rules, you ain't gonna be no eye gouging. You get it. There's not gonna be no low blows, nothing behind the referee's back, I would assume. So you're gonna have a straightforward match every time with, freestyle rules, so I'm interested to see how the officiating goes too. And if they throw any wrenches in there where maybe the referees miss calls, and make it look unpredictable. Who knows what they're thinking, but as the way it sounds, it's going to be just, these guys are probably, in my opinion, what I'm picturing in my head, these guys are going to come out there with these big, elaborate, entrances, and they'll do wrestling style promos and talk junk probably, but go out there and have an Olympic style match. It's hard hitting and gives you the freestyle wrestling. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I picture happening, and they'll keep the wrestling the way it's supposed to be. But being that, you got two guys that, uh, when Bischoff got in charge at WCW, you got to give him his kudos. He did help revolutionize and the business in the 90s, and he brought WCW to a whole new level with Hogan and Hall and Nash and everybody involved, and made WCW what it was with him there, and Hogan always being a front lines from 1984. His career spanned from 1984 to the early 2000s, just straight with WWF, WCW, over to, back to the WWF/WWE as Mr. America. So, man, like I said, I just can't keep saying I can't wait to see this, and see what element it brings, and see if it hurts now, if it's going to hurt like UFC's ratings in the end for people like more of a hard hitting Olympic style wrestling that some of the UFC fighters use, the wrestlers in that do. And the spectacle of pro wrestling is going to be involved. I wonder if it's going to hurt the ratings on pro wrestling and the UFC, if that's what the goal is here.
Uh, yeah, that'd be hard to say, but it might hurt it maybe a little bit, but I don't think it's going to hurt it too bad. But who knows? It might make UFC, WWE, and this real American freestyle wrestling all great, you know.
Yeah.
So
What about
it's
What about the element? Everybody is already talking about AEW's ratings not being as well as they were at one time. And then you're looking at other shows like TNA. I mean, they're not as gigantic as the WWE, man. How do you think the landscape's going to hurt them? You know what I'm saying? With all this television.
I don't think it's going to hurt them completely. It might hurt like AEW a little bit. I think it's going to hurt AEW a little bit more than it will like TNA or WWE. Uh, AEW they'll have good moments, good shows and stuff like that. But then it just seems like the fans is not as into AEW as they once was. Uh, like I think I said it before, is just seems like something's just not clicking. So if you get another new promotion coming in and then it lives up to the hype, yeah, it might hurt them some like more. TNA, it's gonna hurt them a little bit at first, but with the partnership that they got with WWE and them having really good talent, I don't think it's gonna hurt them as much. But AEW, that'd be the one I'd be more concerned about.
Right. Yeah, I'm just interested to see all that, man. What's going to happen with all that? Um, Speaking of Hogan, Did you hear the other news that I actually heard this morning? I don't know if you saw it too, but we're talking about Hulk Hogan Hulk Hogan Scores Sports Bar opening in New York, like across the street from the opening front doors of Madison Square Garden.
Uh, I didn't read it or nothing. You just tell me a little bit about it, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I'd be like, what kind of restaurant it would be, stuff like that. Would it be like a burger place or like an actual restaurant? I've kind of wonder why he didn't have it like up in Florida with all of his beach shops and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's got a lot going on his plate right now because you talk about his beach shops down in you got one in Orlando, you got Clearwater. He's also got the restaurant bar in Clearwater as well. Then he opens up a wrestling store, another shop out in Gatlinburg in Pigeon Forge area that's about to open. And then now he's got this sports bar opening across the street from the most legendary arena in the United States and probably the world, Madison Square Garden, man. It's just unbelievable. He's got a lot going on, and you mentioned earlier, you brought up that he had all this heat from the WWE universe and booed him out of the building and caught him off guard on national television on Netflix, but he's still got all this stuff going on, new wrestling promotion, all this new businesses. Um, Hogan truly is not slowing down, man. He's going at it still.
yeah, he is. He's I like I said, I don't know why in a way he didn't do it in Florida with all of his other stuff, but doing it at near Madison Square Garden and him helping with like the shows there when he was younger and stuff, and really bringing wrestling into that place, like modern times and stuff. I mean, it's a good move in that part for sure. Kind of like a wrestling restaurant, maybe next to the most famous arena. So business wise, it makes sense to put it there.
Yeah, I think he's onto something. And for all the bad publicity that everybody wants to talk about him having, I think he's honestly gonna if anyone can reinvent himself at a time he needs it. I think the new wrestling promotion that just happened, and they're going on news and all this with it this morning. I really believe with Bischoff partnered in this Izzy Martinez, it sounds like that this is going to be really big. And who knows? It may not, but it sounds like it. And I just can't wait to be able to watch it and critique it and give opinions on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's what at the end of August, so I'd definitely be keeping an eye out for it to see what it's like all about. Cause you can't go wrong with something that's really says real American up in it. So
That's right,
I
brother.
like I can't wait for it. So
I might even get me a real American beer and sit down and watch it.
now it's a it's not around us yet, and it's in a couple different states, but they're starting to sell the real American beer in Walmarts.
I think it will hit Virginia. It's going to hit everywhere eventually, I believe. Um, but can you order it? Do you know if you can order it online? I hadn't even looked.
I don't know, but you should be able to. I mean, you can buy the other alcohol stuff, so I wouldn't see why you couldn't
Yeah.
order that.
Right. So growing up, Mike, I was a Hulkamaniac. I'll admit that. Um, because it was the 80s and all that. I was a small kid then. And my fondest memories, I'm telling you right now, and then one is going to the video store back when they had video stores, yes, and seeing the Hulkamania video cassette. And I would, I'd rent these video cassettes, I'd take it home, and it's the one where it's like all Hulk Hogan matches, and it's got the one match that I always think about when I think about Hulk Hogan, and that's the one where he beat the Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden in January of 1984. Man, that to me that was one of the biggest moments in wrestling history, and to have Mean Gene backstage interviewing Hogan afterwards, and Andre's with him, and Hogan's parents are with him, and they're celebrating. It was just, to me, that was one of the biggest sports moments of pro wrestling in the 80s, and Hogan was part of that. Not to mention, WrestleMania with Mr. T in the tag team main event, and then WrestleMania 2 in the steel cage against King Kong Bundy. WrestleMania 3 slams Andre and beats Andre, retains the title. And Pontiac, Michigan, and over 90,000 people were there. Just big stuff, in the 80s Hogan did. And, of course, 89 would wrapping up the 80s, of course, when he beat Macho Man at WrestleMania 5, after the Mega Powers exploded and broke up, and just big moments with Hogan. And all that was just in the 80s. This is not counting when he goes to WCW and takes over there, and eventually goes to be part of the NWO and was the third man. And just big stuff. Hogan just he knows what he's doing. He's a businessman at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter how much you love something. If you're not a businessman and making the money, it doesn't really mean that much. So it's great that Hogan he knows how to be a businessman and continue his passion or whatever. Because he's had one hell of a career, and it just, regardless of what he goes into, it just looks like this man is able to continue to make money.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just wondering, uh, with this promotion, if he's really going to be able to survive long enough to get past the first part, because all the backlash is going to get with him in charge, and hopefully that part doesn't ruin what seems like it's going to be a really good promotion. But yeah, he's a good, smart businessman. Uh, I think him putting his mind to it with the help with the Bischoff and Izzy and stuff, I think it's going to be really good.
Oh, absolutely. Um, like I said, I'm looking forward to that. And if I ever get back to New York City, I'd love to go to his new place across from Madison Square Garden and check that out. Um, just big stuff going on. And I love Gatlinburg. He's got the new store out there. I don't think I'll make it down there this summer, but who knows? So we talked about Hulk Hogan, the new wrestling promotion. We talked about Hogan's new restaurant in New York. Um, we talked about the negativity that Hogan was getting. Now, here's the thing. Has Hogan been on Raw since that negativity? I don't know, because I'll be honest, Mike, I don't watch Raw every week, so I may have missed him if he has. But has he?
No,
Okay. So he has
no,
not been on.
he has not been on, and like I said, even with the beer and stuff, they're promoting the beer, they're promoting that stuff, but they pretty much took him off of, like, him being the face of that and giving it to, like I said, American made.
That is interesting. So WWE stops all that. So here's my question then. Um, being that, do you think that they had more of an idea to have Hogan around more, and that backlash at WWE hurt him, and that's why he's not around, and then he gets mixed up with the new promotion, you think? You think that's why Hogan's out there doing something different?
Yeah, without the backlash, he was actually supposed to make more appearances, like on TV and stuff, to promote the beer and stuff. But I think they could have changed the voices of the boos and stuff, like on TV and stuff. But it was so many videos of him coming out on the stage and people just booing that they couldn't stop all of it, and I think that's he pretty much got booted from that too.
Yeah, because I did watch the initial Raw. I've caught some Raws since the first of the year, but I'm not a weekly watcher no more like I would have been years ago. So I kind of get lost. So I was just curious. Wow, that's amazing that he hasn't been back on television. I know he didn't go to be part of WrestleMania at all. He wasn't even out there to do any events with WrestleMania. Which, being one of the biggest guys in WWF/E history, um, you'd think you'd want Hogan there on your biggest week of the year, but once again, maybe that hurt him from doing that as well.
Well, they was going to sell tickets where you can watch WrestleMania in like one of those press boxes and stuff, the suites,
Yeah.
and the sales on that was no good. So they was actually going to cancel it. They canceled it at one time. Then they brought it back and lowered the prices. But then I don't know if that did good or what. I didn't hear nothing else after that. But even dropping the prices for that, I don't think it was doing good.
And Hogan was going to be in the press with box with him.
Yeah, like the suite and everything. So they was gonna have like uh almost like a watch party from like the suites up top.
Oh, okay. So the Hogan didn't appear though, right?
Uh, See, I don't know. I heard that the first price was ridiculous amount. Then uh like the sales wasn't really selling and stuff, so they stopped it. And then like a couple days later they brought it back, but they dropped the price by like half off. And then that's the last thing I heard. I don't know if they kept it around, if it did bad and they just canceled it quietly or what, but that's the last thing I heard about it.
Right. Okay. Well, I wasn't aware of that either. I mean, I'll probably always be a Hogan fan in some aspect, just because, part of my childhood, number one, and number two, regardless of what anybody else, even the fans that boo him, regardless of what they really think of him, they should respect him enough to know that what he brought to the table all them years ago, uh, that may be the reason they're watching their favorites today. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to always give kudos to the guys before you. I'm not saying that everybody's got to like them at all, but you've got to respect them and what they brought to the table and what they did for the business. So, regardless of what anybody thinks of him, um, all the people that booed him, the thing is, at the end of the day, Hulk Hogan's a big deal in professional wrestling. And not only that, Hulk Hogan's a big deal in the media, and he's showing it again, regardless of how much heat he got the beginning of the year. So,
Yeah, like they're saying, like because whatever came out many years ago, but when Netflix came out and stuff, and he came out, people was also saying they didn't like him because he was a Trump supporter.
yeah.
So they're not really going with him as a wrestler anymore. They're just putting different views on stuff, and it just seems like it's gonna really tarnish his reputation now.
Yeah, I mean, it was even asked on one show or podcast I listened to or watched. I can't remember where I heard this at, but someone had asked another guy in the business, "Do you think the reason Hogan got so much backlash at the Raw Netflix, the first one, is because he is a supporter of Donald Trump and went through the national convention for the Republicans and all that?" And that guy said, "No, I don't think that's the reason." And they were going towards more of his past before the Trump thing. So who knows? But, you know, at the end of the day, let's just be honest. The fans, love the WWE. They all know that the McMahons made the WWE what it is as well, right? Linda McMahon is like on the board of education or something for the president. So think about that for a minute. So maybe it really isn't the fact that um, Hulk Hogan is a Trump supporter. Maybe it really does stem back from prior years and things he did in the past.
Uh, True, but that's one reason why Linda McMahon wanted to get out of the wrestling business when she did, because uh, she was trying to do like government stuff at the time, and it was being in WWE was really, they said, it was hurting her to move on with her career and stuff. So leaving like WWE and then kind of getting away from it. Now she's what, Secretary of Education.
Yeah.
See, I don't. It's hard to say, like, because she did get away from WWE for the longest time before she got back into stuff like this. So maybe this government, maybe not. But if it wasn't really for that one video that was pretty much taken without Hogan even knowing, uh, we wouldn't be saying whatever. People would still be cheering them. Uh, it should never. That video should have never been came out. Hogan should have never said or did whatever he did and stuff. But it was behind closed doors. It should have never got out to the public.
Correct. A lot of things like that get out, and what they call nowadays being canceled. I ain't saying he's been canceled from anything. Apparently he hasn't. We see him still moving and shaking in the world, but, you know, people have been canceled for that little or less in today's society. And, I don't agree with that at all. But here's the problem. You got to think nowadays, just like when something happens outside, let's say on the street corner, and there's a bunch of cop cars, there's a bunch of ambulances, people break out in fights, people record all this stuff nowadays because everybody has a device in their hand that can do that. And then just the same scenario with Hogan, what he said behind the closed door should not have been recorded to get out. I'm not saying I agree with what he said because I don't, but people in the privacy of their own home should have that privacy. And when you're walking down the street, I don't want nobody filming me just walking down the street, but people could probably do that if they wanted to. Um, it's just stupid stuff all the way around if you think about it. But definitely when something happens behind a closed door, it should be left alone. Uh, but it got out there. And here's the thing people's got to realize is when you're in the public eye, especially if you're in the public eye, if something gets out there, you're going to have to face it and own up to it and hopefully make good of that problem. Um, he's a big star, always has been, always in the public eye. So I see why he got all the backlash, because anytime you're in the public like that, a star, athlete, whatever, you're going to be seen in a higher light than someone else. So that's the main reason why Hogan's getting all the backlash, because of how big of a star he's always been.
Yeah, if it would have been like, just say like an independent wrestler, I don't think they would have been canceled or anything like that. Uh, Probably would have taken a little bit longer to get back to where they was and stuff. But everybody says or does something that doesn't really agree with everybody. Um, and that's your opinion. Like if you don't agree with somebody, that's fine. But like him doing it in the privacy of his own house and then got leaked out and stuff. He, I don't think he should have been semi canceled. Uh, I don't know how to say canceled like that because he, like you said, he's not really canceled, but he is like in a way. So, like he should still be around. He's done a lot for the business. You can't really have the WWE now really without Hogan and what he did back in the '80s and stuff.
Correct. You're right. That's 100% correct. You couldn't have said it any better than what you just said. Um, so one more thing I'd like to, maybe more than one thing, but this pops in my head, and I want to talk about this about Hulk Hogan as well. We recently watched the WrestleMania 9 documentary from 1993. In that, two things come to question there, okay? One, the bad eye Hogan had. Like, he had a black eye and his eye was all red. Now, rumor on the thing was, well, what they said happened was he had some kind of jet ski accident, I believe. But there was a couple of the guys saying that they thought Randy did it. Randy Savage had punched him in the eye. Um, do you believe the jet ski story, or do you think Hogan had heat with the guys so much that Savage actually possibly would have done that?
Well, brother, um, I don't, I don't know. Uh, I don't think it was jet ski. Uh, I don't think, I don't know if he had heat with the boys and stuff, but who knows? Randy Savage could have done it. Uh, because it was known all around that Randy was very protective over Miss Elizabeth
Yeah.
and very like paranoid when somebody tried to talk to her
Hmm.
and stuff. And they Hogan and Randy didn't really get along too well as the Mega Powers because when they was a team, Miss Elizabeth was there. He thought Hogan was trying to do something with Miss Elizabeth and all that stuff. At least that's what the rumors are and stuff.
Right.
Uh, who knows? Maybe Randy Savage just thought Hogan was looking or talking about Miss Elizabeth and punched him in the eye. Or, but I don't think Hogan really had heat with the boys where it was like a bunch of them talking and Randy got mad because of that. And he thought he'd be like a leader and go punch Hogan.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was the jet ski. I think it was Randy Savage with his overprotection of Miss Elizabeth
So his,
caused that.
so
Like,
basically paranoia.
oh yeah,
Yeah. He's
for
like,
sure.
yeah.
Because it's known. You can see different interviews and different stories and stuff, and he was very protective and he overreacted on a lot of different stuff.
Right.
And and who knows? That could be why it was part of the storyline. Like you'll see like interviews where it was one match where I think Hogan knocked Miss Elizabeth off the apron or something. Something happened. He carried her to the back, and then Randy saw it because he was doing the match, and Hogan, uh, they got into a big argument when they was checking out Miss Elizabeth. So, uh, it's like I said, it's hard to say, but I think Randy Savage overprotection of Miss Elizabeth probably caused that black eye.
Okay. Okay, that's a good look into that. Now the other question comes from the same um, show. Um, what is your opinion on Bret Hart being the world champion? He dropped the strap to Yokozuna, but Hogan comes in and wins it. Do you think that that was more of Vince McMahon saying, "Hey, I need to put Hogan back in the spotlight. I need this for my company," or do you think Hulk Hogan pulled a card out and said, "Hey, brother, this is how it needs to go"?
Uh, it's hard to say on that one too. The stories about Hogan and how he had the power to do whatever and stuff. I could see that. Like he'd be like, "Oh, I want the title and all that stuff." But it's. I mean, they probably wanted Hogan to be the champion, but that would have been uh really the only way to do it because you got Bret Hart as the babyface, you got Hogan as the babyface. They didn't really have matches like two babyface versus each other. Uh, like how they would have done that because you ain't gonna turn Hogan heel at that time, and most likely you're not turning Bret Hart heel at that time. Uh, like how would you get your way out of that? Uh,
Well, there's also been rumors that Hogan wanted to go heel, but Vince didn't want Hulkamania to go heel. Um, so Hogan was wanting to do similar to what the NWO did, but earlier in his career and with WWF. But rumor it is McMahon didn't want to pull the plug on it. Now, I also heard something else, and I don't know if it's true or not. I'd like to know if it's true, but I also heard that being that Hulk won the belt there, that they were going to do an angle where by SummerSlam, Bret Hart got a match with Hulk and beat Hulk for the World Heavyweight title at SummerSlam. Did you ever hear that?
no, but why didn't they just leave Bret as the champion and just have that match at SummerSlam without like Hogan coming in and kind of stealing the spotlight from the main event?
Right.
Like they should have just had that, and if they wanted Bret to win the title back, well, he could have dropped it a couple weeks down the line, and Hogan could have got it and stuff all before SummerSlam. That way, Bret could have beat Hogan, or Bret could have had the title, faced Hogan, and still won and kept the title. So
Right.
I don't know. It was just like it was a good match. I just didn't like the ending where Hogan came in and stuff because it did kind of look like he was going into business for himself, but I don't think he did.
Okay. Well, you know, so Yoko won the title um, back from Hogan at the King of the Ring. And then after that happened, Hogan disappears from WWF television because that's when the Lex Express came that summer. But Hogan disappears, and the next time you see him, he's in WCW the next May or June. So almost a year later, Hogan shows up in WCW and becomes WCW World Champion in July at Bash at the Beach. So Hogan was done within 3 months, time probably, after coming back. He had the WrestleMania tag match with Brutus against Money Inc. Also won the world title that night from Yokozuna. That was in April. And then by June, he loses the title drops it back to Yoko, and then he's gone.
Yeah, I don't know. Had the, he ended WWF at the time, weird and stuff, but I'm happy he showed it for WCW. It kind of redid his career and everything. Um, but when did he go to Japan and wrestle? Because he wrestled over there for a little bit, didn't he?
I think we may need to look that up, but I think Japan was the early 90s, somewhere in there. And I know he was wrestling like the Great Muta and different people. So,
Yeah, yeah, I like those matches because it wasn't just like his normal stuff, like and everything. He actually wrestled
yeah,
like Hulk Hogan wrestled, not his couple moves that he does. He does what, like 10 moves, and that's it, if that. But this was actually wrestling, like arm drags, and did like a scissor headlock and stuff. So
yes,
yeah, he was. I liked him a whole lot in uh, Japan scene.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, but, like we were talking earlier, the main focus of today was when we were talking about Hulk Hogan is that new promotion with Izzy Martinez and Eric Bischoff, and we're going to see how that unfolds and maybe do a review of the first night that the first show comes out. After it happens, we'll come on here and we'll talk about it and give everyone our opinion on what we think of that. So I'm looking forward to doing that episode that week coming up a few months down the line.
Yeah, that'd be good to uh, go over and give our thoughts on the brand new promotion and everything.
So, Mike, we're going to do something a little different today, and I've been looking at it. So, I want to do wrestling history for May 2nd. So, this wrestling history on May 2nd it comes from 2014, and it actually involves me. It was in Ybor City, Florida. The main event of FIP Established Dominance. David Starr and JT Dunn won the FIP tag team titles, defeating the team of Rich Swann and Roderick Strong. And I remember that match like it was yesterday. That was a really good tag match. I always love working with all four of these guys. And Roderick Strong and Rich Swann always brought the best out of everybody. And every time I got in the ring with Roderick or Rich, I knew I was going to have a good night. But David and JT, man, they were pros as well. But I remember that tag match as it was yesterday. And that was just this day in history on May 2nd. And it happened in the year of 2014.
Yeah, well, on May 2nd, in 2000, WCW Thunder was taped at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee. And then in the main event of the show, Ric Flair won a 41-man battle royal to become the new number one contender for the WCW Heavyweight Champion. Uh, the match is also remembered as the last time Randy Savage appeared in a WCW ring.
Wow. Did you just hear that last sentence you said? Last time Randy Savage appeared in a WCW ring.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah, because after that, then he go to TNA like a couple years later.
he did. It was '03 or '04.
Yeah, but that's the last time in WCW. I mean, that's crazy to think about too.
It is. I met Randy once when I was in WCW during that time. Cause he didn't do much with us. And then he was at a house show. I think it was the night, I'm pretty sure about this. It was in Omaha, Nebraska. the night that I refereed the 6-man tag main event with Flair, Sting, and Luger teaming up as the Millionaires Club against the New Blood. Randy was there in attendance. I got to meet Randy, but I always wanted to work with Randy Savage. I never got to work an in-ring match with him. I do regret that. But, I also didn't get in the ring with Bret Hart. I regret that. So it's a couple guys over the years that I wish I'd have got to referee their matches, and Bret Hart and Randy Savage definitely are on top of that list, man. Because everybody knows how I feel about Bret Hart, and how he's so great. But Randy Savage, man, his match with Steamboat from WrestleMania 3 is one of the greatest matches of all time, bar none. Randy Savage was a guy, in my opinion, that could he's like, I don't know, he's so good. I think he couldn't have a bad match with anybody. But if it is, I want somebody to tell me which one it is so I can go look at it and tell you how bad it is. But Randy's one of them great performers where I think he could they use that old analogy, work a broomstick and make it look good. I think Randy could do that. One of the best ever.
Yeah, he really was. Um, but then up in 2001 at the OVW taping in Jeffersonville, Indiana, Randy Orton made the new OVW Hardcore Champion after defeating Flash Flanagan.
Yeah,
How you
Flash
pronounce that?
Flanagan. Yep. I've worked with
Uh,
Flash Flanagan. He's a good performer as well. I worked with him with Burt Prentice when I worked out in NWA Worldwide back in 1999. I first met Flash. Over the years going forward, I worked with him as well, but I do remember meeting him the first time out in actually Lebanon, Tennessee, at the Airport Armory out there. My first night out. Good guy. He was in the main event. Turns on Air Paris. Um, so yeah, Randy Orton. Another story about Randy Orton, being you brought him up. In 2001, I refereed Randy Orton's match for Burt Prentice. He worked Sean O'Hare, and Sean O'Hare still had the WCW Tag Team title with him. It was June of 2001, and this was during the time that WCW was being featured on, like they were taping it for Raw and stuff and putting the guys on the TV. They started the Invasion pretty soon after this. But I guess they both came down from OVW. But Sean O'Hare wore out his WCW tag title that night. He wrestled Randy Orton. Really good match. And that's the only match I've ever refereed of Randy Orton, Randy's early years. And that was 2001 as well. So kind of odd. It brings back memories, bringing up some names, but that's a good memory I'll remember.
yeah. Well, seeing him back in the day, like in OVW and early years in WWE, it just like I'm just watching it. You would never think he would be a 14-time world champion or really a future Hall of Famer, but he is. He had one of the best story career in WWE. I'm happy that he grew into the performer he become because he's probably one of the all-time greats.
Oh, absolutely. Randy's one of the best ever. And he, and I'll say this every time we talk about great performers. Uh, I gave a Mount Rushmore one of the first episodes months ago. And after I talked about the four top guys, there's really so many top guys in this industry that you need a Mount Rushmore of at least 20 people on it, because over the decades and decades in this professional business, back from the early 1900s, you can go back to then when pro wrestling became popular, and find so many great talents in different eras with different styles. So Randy would definitely should be on somebody's Mount Rushmore, but I think it's now I say this, I think it's unfair to have a Mount Rushmore with so many great talents because you're missing guys like Randy Orton and a Kurt Angle and even a Shelton Benjamin. Man, he deserves to be on it. He's so talented. And of course, Shawn Michaels. He wasn't listed in my top four, but all these guys I just mentioned should be on Mount Rushmore along with the guys I mentioned and many more. So, you know, I'm a fan of Randy Orton. I'm a fan of a lot of the stuff he's done. And, his dad, I don't know if you remember his dad very much, but Bob Orton Jr., man, he did some great stuff in Mid Atlantic and then went on to WWF and he was with Roddy Piper and, did some good stuff there too, man. I love some Bob Orton Jr.
Yeah, I just don't understand how he wore a cast on his arm for so many years.
His arm was
uh,
broke that long, bro.
he did. I don't remember him really when he didn't have a cast on when he was actually wrestling. Uh, I don't know if he had it on when he did that storyline when Randy was going to face the Undertaker at WrestleMania when he was up in his corner. But yeah, I don't really remember a match where Cowboy Bob Orton didn't have the brace on.
Right. Um, Yeah, probably the Mid Atlantic years because after he went to WWF, he had a cast on for years. It seems like, without a doubt, crazy. Yeah,
But speaking of Cowboy Bob Orton, do you want to talk about another cowboy, and that's the Cowboy Revolution?
oh, I'd love to hear about Cowboy Revolution.
Cowboy Revolution is really good. They support the veterans. They got cups, they got water bottles, they got hoodies. I don't recommend it unless you want to save it for the wintertime or if you live in Alaska. But they got shirts, stickers, uh, tumblers, and the main thing is they support the veterans. Uh, and so do we at the podcast here. Uh, but James, do you want to tell them how they can get some amazing savings with Cowboy Revolution?
Absolutely. So basically, when you go to checkout, guys, you got everything in your cart you want to buy and have it ready to ship to you. Put in coupon code JamieT123 and you're all set. Save that 15% just by doing it. It's that easy. It's as easy as counting one, two, three.
Yeah, and you know what else is easy to count?
What is that?
Well, it's easy to count 28 grams of protein, 150 calories, and 0 grams of sugar. And where do you get that stuff?
Man, you're talking about David protein. Man, what is the new flavor that is out now?
All right, so we're going to just list all the flavors and stuff, and then we'll get to the new flavor because James' favorite is cake batter. My all-time favorite is blueberry pie, but a lot of people like chocolate chip cookie dough, peanut butter chocolate chunk, fudge brownie, salted peanut butter, and honestly, my number two that's really tied with number one right now is the brand new flavor of cinnamon roll, and it's a really good flavor.
Man, I want to try that cinnamon roll. I have not yet. I'm going to have to make sure to go to davidprotein.com/Jamie T. Get your savings. Get you some protein bars today, people. I'm telling you, they're really good. You'll enjoy it and it'll fill you up for a while.
Yeah, save money. Don't buy eggs. Just go out buy David protein bars.
That's right. Just Go to davidprotein.com, buy the protein bars. Go to cowboyrevolution.com, the apparel company there. Get you some merch. Do it today. After we're done with this podcast, do it today. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and so me and you was talking last week, not on the podcast or nothing, but we was talking, and we was talking about WCW greatest champions,
Yes.
and I'm still sticking with this. It's my two favorite of all time is Vince Russo and David Arquette. I mean, Vince Russo was never defeated in WCW, and David Arquette was never pinned or submitted in WCW. So they're the two greatest WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay. Well, Mike, as much as I'm not going to agree with you at all on this, the best and the greatest WCW champions of all time is none other than one, Hulk Hogan, two, I want to say Ric Flair, and I'd also like to put Ron Simmons into that. Sting is one of them. Quite a few other guys, but I would not go with David Arquette or Vinny Roo. Oh, did I not mention Booker T? Booker T should fall in history.
All right, so if you're gonna have a Mount Rushmore of
Scott
WCW
Steiner, bro.
World Heavyweight Champion, it's got to be first Vince Russo, then David Arquette, then Sting, and then Scott Steiner.
Okay, I respect your Mount Rushmore of WCW champions, but I would still disagree on that. I'm sorry.
Now, I wish we could have had Vince Russo and David Arquette in the NWO somehow.
Now, I will say this. Could you imagine when Vince Russo came back and they put the new NWO together, which was Jarrett, Steiner, and like Hall and Nash? Could you imagine being that Bischoff was behind the scenes leader of the first when the NWO first came out? Could you imagine if Vince Russo was the leader of the NWO at that time? Do you think that would have been good TV, or what do you think?
Oh yeah, it would. I would have enjoyed it. But I remember what you was just talking about with them starting up the second or the newest NWO because I just watched that a couple days ago and it was really good. And I could see like it kind of started off with wasn't it Vince up in the limo and them talking and stuff, or like he told Jeff to trust him and stuff. So in a way, he kind of was part of the NWO in a way. If you
Well,
twist history around.
what about this? What if we saw that, but then not necessarily they'd be called NWO? Maybe they would have been the Millionaires Club, but you'd have had Hogan, but instead of Bischoff being with Russo and having the R&B security, Russo, it's Russo and Bischoff, remember? Instead of having their faction together where they're teaming up against Hogan and all that, what if Bischoff and Hogan would have led their own group and had other guys like Luger and Sting and whoever to face the NWO in a face-off, instead of what they did that year, and Scott Hall would have stayed with WCW. I think that may have been good for ratings as well. Something a little on that lines where the new NWO, oh yeah, well look at this. Eric Bischoff's got Hogan. He's got Sting. He's got whoever, and we're going to come at you instead of the Millionaires Club against the new blood.
Yeah, I can see that. I just wish Vince Russo could be on WWE or any wrestling promotion right now. Uh, I don't know. It's just when he's up on there, money's being created. Uh, he just needs to get back. I could see him uh, being like the authority figure in AEW right now. I think that would be really good for them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that would be interesting. Absolutely. Um, but once again, we probably are never going to see Vinny Rue. I mean, never say never in the pro wrestling business by anybody that's been in it, but I just don't see Vince Russo going back to any professional wrestling promotion. And he also, I don't know, he did say something recently on his podcast. I believe is what I've heard is that he's going to stop watching pro wrestling, or is it pro wrestling, or is it just Raw? I think it's pro wrestling this year, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be pro wrestling. Uh, I think he's still got a lot to give to the business, but I mean, he's getting up there a little bit in age and stuff. So it'd be like a happy retirement for him. So it'd be okay. He can pass his knowledge off to, who knows, me, and then I can become the new writers and stuff for these companies.
I could see that, Mike.
So, uh, did you hear? Uh, I know. Sorry, I can't stop thinking about Vince Russo. He needs to go into the Hall of Fame. But did you hear that Triple A was bought out by WWE?
I did hear that. I don't know all the uh, information behind it, but that happened actually at WrestleMania weekend, I believe, right?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it happened at WrestleMania weekend. It's kind of like a shock because it really came out of nowhere. Uh, but they say that Jeremy Borash will be involved in the creative side of it, and then WWE and Alberto Del Rio don't really get along too well. I think it's because what Alberto Del Rio did when he was under contract with WWE, but apparently he's been released by AAA and he was their world champion. So I don't know. It just seems like WWE is really buying a lot of different stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what they're behind, other than they bought AAA and then shoot, they're not they didn't buy TNA, but they're partnered with them in a way. Have a working relationship. So that's kind of something we never thought would happen. That's happened. So a lot of stuff surprises me. Um, but then again, you know, um, but like you said, I mean, is the WWE behind real American freestyle wrestling? We don't know. They could be, and we don't know it. Um, I don't think they are, but you know, if they are, they're getting TV clearances so easy. They'll be on TV without a doubt. They must already have some kind of TV deal to have their first show August 30th. And, I don't know, dude. It's WWE's unpredictable when it comes to, hey, we're going to take over stuff. I mean, they acquired Evolve back in 2020, and then 2025 they finally brought it back out and got their own brand again with that. So WWE, man, I mean, they surprise you.
Yeah, but with them buying AAA and then partnership with TNA, but then you also got uh, some wrestlers, Shinsuke Nakamura, and then there was another one I think. working with Japanese promotion Noah, I think.
Yeah.
Could you could you see them doing a better version of AEW's Forbidden Door, and they have like Noah from Japan, Triple A in Mexico, TNA, and then WWE, like all into like one pay per view, like all different promotions working that way. Because working relationships and then buying them out and stuff, I think that'd be a really good pay per view.
I mean, if they went that route and did a pay per view of that nature, in my personal opinion, it would probably be bigger than um, WrestleMania. I mean, how would you not be bigger than WrestleMania if you did such a pay per view? You know what I'm saying? I guess we wouldn't call it a pay per view as much this day, because they got them on Peacock and all that. But just think if they would do that and plaster that on Netflix, man, all the viewers they'd get, it would be remarkable. But it would throw WrestleMania out of the water. You wouldn't even think about WrestleMania no more. You think about the next super card and the next dream match. So that would be really big. That'd be crazy too at the same time.
It'd be crazy, but with TNA's history and then Triple A, it'd be really cool if they did this pay per view or whatever, but they do it in six sides, like the octagon. That would be really cool to see.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I kind of like, I'm kind of a fan of the six sided ring. I know a lot of the guys here that, when they worked at TNA, didn't like it because they claimed the mat was a lot harder to bump on. Um, and it hurt more. But then again, I took bumps in it, but I didn't do it all the time. So I really can't say. But, I'm a fan of the six sided ring. I thought it brought a new dimension to the business, and being TNA was the only one in America at the time doing it. Um, I really loved it. I loved the concept. I wish they would have kept the six sided ring, them personally, since we're talking about the six sided ring. But yeah, I think that would be a new dimension and something different. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to just think you see like Roman Reigns that's never really been in six sides before versus like almost like AJ Styles because he's been in the six sides. Like how would Roman fare with like a new ring or something? But then you got uh, TNA if they go old school again. How would say like their world champion Joe Hendry? How would he fare in a six-sided ring now? Um, I personally like it. I wish I think last year they did like a pay-per-view or something and brought back the old name, the logo, six sides, everything for one night, and it was really good. So who knows? Maybe TNA will do it again, but it really set them apart from the like WWE and stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Um, I'm always will be a big fan of the six sides of steel. I'm a six side ring. I was a fan of the six sides of steel. I almost said that, as well, but, absolutely. I missed the six sided ring. I wish TNA would have never let go of it. But they did. And wrestling went back traditional with the four sides, which, I'm always going to love that because everybody knows that. But, I thought the six sides brought a new dimension to the way the talent could use the ring, and just the visual for the fans was something different, and made their product set out from the other competition. So absolutely. I miss it.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's one mistake that Hogan and Bischoff did do and took away the six side steel or six sided ring. Because it gave them their like own identity. You flip through the channels and you see professional wrestling in an octagon. It just caught your attention and stuff. So Yeah, like I miss it and everything.
Absolutely. Um, who knows? Maybe we'll see it again with the partnership. Not the partnership. I guess they bought AAA. Maybe with them buying AAA, maybe we'll see the actual six-side ring brought back into play, and that would be pretty cool to me. I say bring it, man. I'd say why not have WWE bring in a six-sided ring and have all the lucha stars on a WWE program only? I think I'd watch that.
Yeah, talking about uh, WWE buying Evolve, maybe they could turn Evolve kind of like into a almost like a luchador Mexico like NXT version and have like the six-sided ring. Like Evolve could be like the next. It could Evolve could be NXT for AAA, and I think that'd be really cool. Also,
Yeah, let's do it. Maybe they'll hear this and do some ideas that we were talking about.
if they do, I need some money for that.
Well, maybe they heard that too. So
Got to do it for the money.
that's right, my man. So, hey, Mike, I think the episode is great this week. I think we hit a lot of different areas. We talked about Hulk Hogan and everything he's been doing this year, brother, and some other stuff is too, some history. Hopefully, we can keep the history thing up going down the road. Wrestling Day in history, maybe even do a wrestling week history for every week. I think it's kind of cool to look at old results and title changes and different things. So, who knows? But I had a really good time. Don't forget about our sponsors, guys. Hit them up, David Protein and CowboyRevolution.com apparel company. Hit that up. You got anything for them to leave them with, Mike?
Uh, I think I'm pretty good. Hopefully everybody has a good rest of your week. Go, go get you a David Protein bar. Uh, try the new flavor, the cinnamon roll. Like I said, my all-time favorite is the blueberry pie, but that cinnamon roll is really good too. So, go do that. Go get you some shirts from Cowboy Revolution.